Imagine receiving a letter out of nowhere, claiming that a forgotten farm in the middle of nowhere actually belongs to you. At first, I thought it was a scam, but what I discovered would unravel secrets my family had buried for generations. It all started on a quiet Wednesday morning. I was sipping my coffee and scrolling through emails when one subject line caught my eye. Important inheritance notification. Immediate attention required. My first thought, spam, another scam. But the email was different. It had the official seal of a law firm I had never heard of, along with the physical letter that arrived later that day. The letter explained that I was the heir to a property called Maplewood Farm, a place I had never heard of, belonging to a distant relative I barely knew existed. According to the letter, this inheritance had been passed down for generations, and I was the next rightful owner. I laughed nervously at the thought. An old farm? For me? I almost set the letter aside, but something about the way the lawyer wrote, serious, formal, and oddly urgent, made my curiosity impossible to ignore. Visual suggestion. Close-up of the letter on a wooden table, morning light streaming through the window, a hand nervously holding it. A week later, I found myself driving down dusty country roads, following a map that looked like it hadn't been updated since the 1970s. When I first glimpsed the farmhouse, I was struck. It was bigger than I imagined, yet abandoned and covered in ivy. The paint had peeled and the windows were dusty, but something about it felt alive, as if it had been waiting for me all these years. Walking through the front door, the smell of old wood and earth filled my senses. Every corner of the house seemed to whisper stories of the past. In the living room, I found a stack of letters and diaries tucked under a loose floorboard. Reading them, I discovered the history of my family, stories of love, betrayal, secrets, and courage. There were entries about hidden rooms, forgotten treasures, and even a family feud that had split generations apart. Each letter made the farm feel less like a building and more like a vault holding decades of mystery. Visual suggestion. Cinematic shots of an abandoned farmhouse, dust motes in sunlight, old letters and diaries on a table, a hidden door slightly ajar. Claiming the inheritance wasn't going to be simple. As I started the legal process, I learned that distant relatives were contesting the will. They claimed I had no right to the property and tried to block the paperwork. Lawyers, court hearings, and late-night research filled my days. One evening, while exploring the farm, I stumbled upon a small concealed cellar behind the old barn. Inside were boxes of documents, photographs, and old ledgers detailing the farm's ownership history. Among them was a photograph of a relative I had never met, my great-uncle, standing proudly in front of the farmhouse. He had left behind a note. The truth must be discovered by the one who can honor it. That note changed everything. I realized that this inheritance wasn't just about the property. It was about uncovering and preserving the legacy my family had kept hidden for decades. Visual suggestion. Dark cellar, boxes of old papers, close-ups of photographs, a handwritten note, dust and shafts of light. After weeks of legal battles and emotional turbulence, the inheritance was finally mine. Walking through the restored farm for the first time, I felt an overwhelming connection to the past. I wasn't just inheriting a building or land. I was inheriting the stories, struggles, and dreams of those who came before me. I spent days cataloging the letters, restoring the old farmhouse, and slowly uncovering every secret hidden within its walls. Each discovery felt like meeting a family member I had never known. And in that process, I realized something important. Some legacies aren't about money or property. They're about history, identity, and the courage to face the unknown.